सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् Hari Om. Salutations to all. So this Chinmaya book of hymns that you have, see the shlokas that we just chanted, they are a part of the Guru Shishya Parampara shlokas which are on page number 9. So the order in which we chant here is shloka number 1, then 3, then 4, and then 7. 1, 3, 4, 7. That's the order in which we are chanting right now. Okay. Now today I will take the Shanti Mantra that you already know. Is page number 5. And that Shanti Mantra is Sahana Bhavatu. So Sahana Bhavatu is a Vedic mantra. Now what we should know about the Vedic mantras is these mantras are revelations of the Lord to the great rishis, and they have specific intonations. That's why they are called mantras. So they are not shloka. Shloka is composition of a saint or a sage or a poet. So Gita is shlokas because Vedavyas Bhagavan composed it. But Vedic revelations are called mantras, and the rishis are called mantra drashta, the seers to whom the mantra is revealed. So these mantras have intonations. So if we chant these mantras in proper intonation, then they will produce also proper effect. The mantras are a science of sound. So these mantras have to be chanted with proper intonation, then it will produce the required sound vibration which can quieten the mind, heal the body, purify the environment. Many benefits it has. So Gayatri Mantra also is like that. Generally people chant it with all music, harmonium, tabla, peti, everything. It is to be actually chanted in a Vedic intonation. Same way the Sahana Bhavatu. So you see the lines and the marks which are given there, they are the intonations. So the bottom line, horizontal line, means that swara should go down. Top vertical line means that swara should go up. And two vertical lines above means that vowel must be elongated. So let us see. And no intonation means a normal pitch. Swarita, Anudatta, Anudatta means down, Udatta means up, and Pluta means two lines. So vowel should be elongated. Now, the tradition of Vedic chanting is listen once, repeat twice. Earlier days there was not the written material, but we still continue that tradition. Listen once and repeat twice. Om Sahana Bhavatu. Oh, twice. So the pitch, as much you can tune up with the same pitch, it is better. So then the whole group will chant in the same pitch. Om Sahana Bhavatu. Sahanau bhunaktu. Saha viryam karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu. Tejasvinavadhitamastu. Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Once again. Om Sahana Vavatu. Sahanau Bhunaktu. Saha Viryam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu. Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, for today that much. Now, lesson 10, we saw the answer to the question, what is bondage? Ko nama bandha. Lesson 11 is the next question, Kathamesha agata. From where did this bondage come? Or what is the cause of bondage? Basically, it means that. So when we listen to the nature of bondage, we saw that identifying with the BMI, then the individual feels karta bhav, bhokta bhav, and then because of kartritva, bhoktritva, one becomes jiva, attached to many things and suffers. So symptoms of bondage we saw, but merely knowing the symptoms of bondage, ki this is called bondage, this is how a person suffers in bondage, doesn't help the person to get out of bondage. Like the symptoms of disease I may know, but that symptoms are diagnosed only to understand the root cause. So in the world, what happens when we see the symptoms, stress, worry, tension, anxiety, depression, pain, sorrow, fear, these are all symptoms. So we go for relief measures. And there's nothing wrong in going for the relief measure, but most of the time one just wants to deal with the relief measures only, that's all, and handle the symptom. One doesn't go to the cause of that. And the strange part is most of the time the cause of that is always outside. This person, that government, this economy, this thing, something outside is the cause. Very few people even think that the cause of my sorrow and suffering is me, myself. There is one philosopher, Jean-Paul Sartre. He said one very nice line. He said, "You don't have a problem. You are the problem." How many people think like that? Majority to think the other person is the problem. So to turn introvert to think about what is the cause of my problem, even if we go to the cause, maximum what will we go to? Some negative thought pattern in my mind, or maximum some attachment. Beyond that, one doesn't go. Till one comes to Vedanta, one doesn't know only that vasanas are there, and the vasanas are because of incompleteness because of false identification. So the root one doesn't know how to go into. Vedanta goes to the complete root cause, absolute cause. The root cause of this whole thing is ignorance of the self. I don't know who am I. And only when the ignorance of the self is removed can that person become free. So nature of bondage we saw, but the cause of bondage, why am I suffering? Is because of not knowing the self, ignorance of the self. So this chapter is about that. That ignorance is the root cause of sorrow. Why ignorance is the root cause of sorrow? Why not anything else? Some people believe desire is the source of all evil. No doubt desire is, when I attach myself to a particular desire, insist on the fulfillment, then that unfulfilled desire creates problem. Fulfilled desire also creates greed. But that is again a symptom only. When we analyze the root cause, we will come to avidya, ignorance. And that root cause also we come to by proper inquiry through Vedanta. Individually, if we have to identify root cause of our sorrow is ignorance, it may take many, many lives also. So the doctor knows how to diagnose the root cause of the patient's symptoms. Same way, the guru or the shastra, they are called bhavarog bhishad. They are the doctors for his bhavarog. They identify the root cause is ignorance of the self. See, Arjun collapsed in the battlefield also because of root cause is ignorance of the self. Gurudev used to say Arjun disease and Krishna cure. What is the Krishna cure? Krishna cure is not just pep talk to Arjun. Come on, Arjun, you are a Kshatriya, you are a strong man, you can do it, go and fight. No. Bhagavan treats him from the root cause. So when people start studying the Gita and then they come to the second chapter, Arjun has collapsed and then surrendered. And Bhagavan starts the discourse. From verse number 11 in second chapter to verse number 30 are all verses about the self, indestructible, pure consciousness. One wonders why Bhagavan is telling all that. If one has not studied Vedanta properly, the foundation is not there. One will wonder, what is this? Why is all this coming here? In the battlefield, is talking about nameless, formless, imperishable, indestructible Brahman. Why? Because the root cause is ignorance, and that has to be removed. So two analogies given here are, one is the rope and the snake analogy, famous one. When we don't know that it is a snake, when we don't know that it is a rope. See, if I consider rope as a snake, that is one delusion. But if I actually consider snake as the rope, that is more dangerous. Because then I will lift it to tie something. So when I don't see the rope as the rope and then I'm seeing a snake there, the perception of the snake is called misapprehension. But why is that misapprehension happening? Because there is non-apprehension of the rope. What is appearing to me as the snake is the rope only. So the non-apprehension of the rope creates the misapprehension. To handle the snake is to handle the misapprehension. And as long as I don't see the rope, I will keep seeing something or the other there. Hence, very important it is that we must be able to perceive the substratum, the cause. Same way, not knowing that my nature is pure consciousness, Sat Chit Anand, now I am ignorant of that self, that is called non-apprehension. And then misapprehension that is happening is, I am this Jiva, Mr. So-and-so, the body, mind and intellect. So that is a rope and snake analogy, where the fear of, so there are two treatments possible now. If somebody who is seeing the snake as real, and is feeling that, the snake has bit me and now the poison is going up and now it is reaching my heart and now I'm going to die, and that person who goes on imagining so much will actually collapse, fall down. Froth may also start coming from his mouth, because mind has that power. Placebo effect it is. What is the opposite of placebo? Nocebo. There is placebo is where that person is uh, given, let us say, distilled water injection. But that person feels that I got medical injection. Now I will be all right. It's only water, but the power of the mind it is. Same way here it is. And nocebo means nothing like that. It's a fact only, not any placebo type of a solution. So when we see the snake, then one option is that, okay, this person is feeling the fear and the pain that, the snake has bit me and is going on building it up in the head. So then tell the person, this is the anti-venom medicine, you take this, you will be all right. That is a relief. Later on, what has to be done? Put the torch and show, okay, there was no snake there. Then that person, when that person sees the rope, then freed from all fear. So that is how the solution also will come. But the important point is to go to the root cause. Second analogy given here is the post and the thief. That is sthana purushavat. In the dark night when I am driving the car, suddenly that lamppost or a trunk of a tree will appear as a ghost or as a thief. Same like rope and the snake analogy only it is. So one mistakes that post to be the ghost. Especially when there is no lights around, only your headlight is on, sometimes that happens. Because the tree also is sometimes like that. Now the trunk is there and two branches are there, so the tree is standing like that. And when the driver drives the vehicle and goes there, sometimes one feels that there is some person standing there. So Shankaracharya has given that. The shloka given there is, see this. Sthanau purushavad bhrantya krita brahmani jivata jivasya tatvike rupe tasmin drishte nivartate. So here it is said, Sthana Purushavat, this stump of a tree appears as though it is a living being. Now, interesting thing it is. Both example of rope and snake, a non-living rope appears as a living snake, and a non-living stump appears as a living person. The delusion is like that. Moha it is. Sthana Purushavat Bhrantya. Krita Brahmani Jivata. In the same way, one thinks of oneself as a jiva. One is Brahman actually. But that Brahman one doesn't know, and one thinks of oneself as the Jiva. Jivasya tatvike rupe, when the Jiva finds out his own essential nature, Jiva realizes that I am Brahman. Tasmin drishte nivartate. Then the delusion goes away that I am the Jiva. So, entire suffering is by ignorance, not knowing who am I. Can we just imagine? Absence of knowledge is creating such a havoc in our life. I don't know who am I, and now I'm thinking I am this miserable jiva. Now I'm suffering in this world. So what is important is to find out what is this ignorance, from where it came, how does it sustain, how do I get out of that? Once we know the root cause, then we should be able to identify the root cause and remove the root cause. So the identification of the root cause is the first step. Many times when we don't know the root cause, we go round and round and round figuring out what is the main cause of this. But when we know the root cause, now the root cause we know through the textbook here. We have to feel that root cause inside. Like last time we spoke about it. I must feel bondage to want to get liberated. See, the sorrow of attachment we still feel. Sorrow of unfulfilled desire we feel. But these are born out of ignorance. That I don't know myself doesn't pinch also. And that's why the intensity to know who am I is not very strong. Because the root cause is a informative knowledge right now. I am not feeling. But how will I feel this now? Ignorance, how will I feel? See, 9 days of Navratri, when we have one of the, so two ways it is celebrated. One way is that 9 days each day there is one avatar of Devi. Shailaputri, Brahmachari, Kushmanda, like that. That is one way to celebrate. Other way we celebrate is 3 days for Durga, 3 days for Lakshmi, 3 days for Saraswati. So the first 3 days are for Durga Mata. And Durga Mata is the significance of praying to Durga Mata is that Mahishasura is killed by Durga Mata. Durgati Harini iti Durga. One who removes the Durgati. What is the root cause of our Durgati? Is avidya only. It's Tamoguna. We will see ahead as we go along 3 gunas. Tamoguna is the root cause of our sorrow. And then Mahishasura, that Mahisha, buffalo, is the symbol of Tamoguna. Buffalo, one buffalo was eating grass. Suddenly the buffalo heard some sound. Buffalo looked around. Can't find who it is. Again started eating grass. Again after some time, one more sound. Again the buffalo looked around. Who is? Somebody is being beaten. Couldn't find anybody. Again started eating grass. Third time, once again the sound came, and it is coming closer each time. Fourth time when this sound came, then the buffalo realized I am only being beaten. That example is very, it doesn't, it sounds very strange. How can buffalo not know? But that's called being thick-skinned only. This avidya is like that. Continuously it is beating us. We can't figure out I'm only being beaten. That true I is hidden and this false I is playing all the nakra. No idea that there is ignorance is the cause of my sorrow. So it doesn't pinch at all. So we pray to the Devi that, oh Mother, please awaken the awareness of bondage at least. That I am bound, and I am bound by ignorance, not by desire, not by anybody outside, not by attachment. I am bound by ignorance first. I don't know who am I. Ramana Maharshi got that experience at 16 years of age when he was sitting, he was on the first floor of his house. Venkatraman was his name. And he went up, and suddenly he felt now as though he's going to die. So he said, let me lie down and see what happens at the time of death. So he lied down. And he says that at that point in time, he felt completely detached from the body. He saw the body lying down there. And he said, the body is dead, but I feel the full force of my presence and my personality. That means I am not this body at all. And that experience, some people say he realized the truth at that point in time. But he said that experience made him realize that I am separate from the body, I am not this body at all. So he went out in a quest of who am I, to find out this, who is this I which is separate from this body. Till now I thought I am the body. Now I am not the body. And I don't know who is this I. I feel the presence of this I. So he had that experience there. For him, it was in that way that he came to become aware. Each one can become aware in different ways. Life will bring different wake-up calls. But because we are experiencing the effect at this moment, in this realm of identification with the BMI, we are experiencing the effect of it. So it is not Sat, it is not Asat, but it is a Mithya. We cannot deny it completely, because if avidya is denied completely, then this whole thing we should not experience. And if it is Sat, then big problem. We can never come out of ignorance. It is neither real nor unreal. It is a mithya. That's why it is anirvachaniya. It is indescribable. So the example given again is the snake and the rope. Can we say that the snake is real? No. When the knowledge of rope rises, snake goes away. Is the snake unreal? No, I am seeing it. So it is a mithya. It appears only to be there. So first is the nature of ignorance is it is indescribable. What is the meaning of this? Why should, okay, ignorance is indescribable, so what? The point is, if ignorance is indescribable, don't inquire more into ignorance. Inquire more into knowledge. There is theories and theories. There's big debate on this. What is the nature of ignorance? Is it existence or non-existence? Elaborate debates are there on it. Some people say it is not existent at all. Some people say, no, it is existent. It is anirvachaniya. Effects of ignorance we are experiencing, so it must be there at this level. When knowledge comes, it will disappear. So the focus should not be on describing ignorance or knowing more about ignorance. Focus should be on gaining knowledge. That's the second point. Opposed to knowledge it is. Jnana virodhi. You see in this page number 4, no? In the footnote, this description of ignorance, nature of ignorance from Vedanta is given. So we will chant that part. Ajnanam tu sadasadbhyam anirvachaniyam trigunatmakam jnana virodhi bhavarupam yat kinchiditi vadantyaham ajna इत्याद्यनुभू इत्याद्यनुभवात् देवात्मशक्तिम् Swagunair nigudham itya dishrutescha. So this is what is given in the composition called Vedanta by Swami Sadananda. Ajnanam tu sadasadhyam anirvachaniyam. It is indescribable because it is neither sat nor asat. Then jnana virodhi it is. It is opposed to knowledge. Now this is interesting again. Ignorance, opposite of ignorance is only knowledge. What can remove ignorance? Only knowledge can remove. No amount of karma will remove knowledge, ignorance. But the strange part is, our whole life goes pursuing karma, not pursuing knowledge. Because I don't know that ignorance is the root cause of my sorrow, and the solution for that is knowledge. And which knowledge? Not informative knowledge, intuitive knowledge. Intuitive knowledge of my own true self, that I am Brahman, I am not the BMI, that knowledge. So that one has to understand. The whole life is a dedication towards knowledge. That's why Vivekananda ji said, knowledge is the goal of life, not pleasure. We do karma for what? For bhoga. One line says in Sanskrit, Kurute karma bhogaya. We do action to get results, to enjoy the results, pleasure. Kurute karma bhogaya, karma kartum cha bhunjate. And to enjoy those pleasure, again I will do karma. So I will be continuously caught in the cycle of karma only. Karma is for pleasure, for enjoying pleasure I do karma, that karma again leads to pleasure. This cycle of karma, pleasure, pain will keep going round. And what will it do? Increase the karmas. Neither karma is the goal of life, nor bhoga is the goal of life. Jnana is the goal of life. Jnana virodhi. Then what is the purpose of karma and bhoga? Purpose of karma is only to purify the mind for getting jnana. To the extent I am able to do karma which can purify my mind, whereby my devotion for the Lord increases, vairagya increases, I do my duty, exhaust the existing vasanas, don't create new vasanas. Then I am pursuing the path to realize the self by getting the knowledge. So avidya is jnana virodhi, meaning the only solution for avidya is jnana. And how will I get that jnana? When I meditate on the Atma with a pure, subtle, single-pointed mind. How to get that pure, subtle, single-pointed mind? Do the karma with the bhav of dedication, karma yoga. So it is jnana virodhi. Then it's a trigunatmakam. See, ignorance by itself cannot be, it is indescribable. That was said before only. But the effects of ignorance are experienced by us. How are they experienced by us? Because of the three gunas. What are the three gunas? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So this whole universe is consistent. It consists of these three gunas, trigunatmakam. So when we analyze this whole, all the three gunas, what do we find? All the things in the world, we find these three principles are active. Principle of inertia is tamas. Principle of dynamism, activity is rajas. And principle of balance, knowledge, peace is sattva. Trigunatmakam. Now these three gunas, whole universe is a permutation combination of these. Now remember again, the ignorance is of the nature of three gunas. Ignorance is indescribable, three gunas also are indescribable. What we are describing is the appearance or the manifestations of the three gunas in the world. We are not describing three gunas. Three gunas cannot be described only. Maximum we can say sattva, rajas, tamas, that name we have given after observing the effect. By observing the effect, we are concluding that the cause must be having this. Otherwise, how will we know that the cause has three gunas when the cause is unmanifest? The cause is not even known to us. clearly. Anirvachaniyam. I am only seeing the effects. But the effect is nothing but the cause in another form. The pot, when we see that the whole pot, that's the effect. Looking at the pot, let us say mud pot, from the analysis of the effect, we conclude that the cause of this must be mud. See, mud pot example is very simple because mud also is visible, pot also is visible. In the world, it is not like that. The cause of the world is not visible to us, is invisible. So analyzing the effects, then we understand, oh, there are these three main principles which are there. Now, this must be there in the cause. This cannot be there in Brahman. This can be there only in the ignorance or Maya. That will come further. But the point is that the expression of the three gunas, when we say trigunatmakam, we are analyzing it from the effects. So this, what we just now said, the inertia, ignorance, laziness, lethargy, procrastination, that is all expressions of tamoguna. What is tamoguna? Nobody knows. Activity, ambition, greed, insecurity, dynamism, that is expression of rajoguna. Peace, knowledge, happiness, balance, creativity, innovation, all this is expression of sattva guna. What is sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna? We cannot know. Why we cannot know? Because these equipment with which we are knowing is also an effect of the cause. How will the effect know the cause? This body, if you remember what we did earlier, this body is made up of what? 5 elements. And this tamasic aspect of the 5 elements, which have gone through permutation and combination, that panchikarana process. With that, the body is made. So avidya is the cause, and this is the effect. Avidya, 3 gunas, from their 5 elements, from that the body is a 4th effect. How will we know this? So through this BMI, it is not possible to know the gunas or avidya. But by analyzing the effect, we can presume, oh, this will be there. Now, why should I know that avidya is 3 gunas now? The reason is the methodology with which avidya works is such that the 2 gunas bind us and 1 guna will liberate. So tamas and rajas. Tamas is ignorance. So non-apprehension. So the methodology of avidya, now I am coming to. Methodology of avidya is veiling, avarana, and projection, vikshepa. Veil the truth on one hand, project the truth as something else. So this tamoguna is what veils the truth. I don't know is tamoguna. I don't know the self is the deepest level, avidya of the atma. But in the world, I don't know many things. That also is an expression of avidya only, of tamas. So I don't know is tamoguna. And when the mind is in tamasic state, it will not remain just like that. It will project also. Non-apprehension will always lead to misapprehension. Non-apprehension cannot be only by itself, except in deep sleep state. In deep sleep state, there is only non-apprehension. There is no misapprehension. But in the waking state, non-apprehension by itself will not remain. Some misapprehension will come. Unless one is very alert to not entertain a misapprehension. But majority doesn't follow that. Simplest example is when I don't know, or my child has not returned home. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. Phone is not reachable. Now I don't know where the child is. Will the mind remain quiet? Mind will start projecting. No? What if some accident has happened? What if somebody has harmed my child? Something mind will project. So misapprehension will always start when there is non-apprehension. That misapprehension is Rajoguna. So non-apprehension is Tamoguna. How avidya works is it veils the truth on one hand, projects the truth as something else on the other hand. So misapprehension will happen. Rope and snake example. Rope is veiled, snake is projected. Better example actually is dreamer and the waker. Because see, in rope and snake example, the snake is seen outside because of a delusion inside. In waker dream example is better. The waker forgets his own true self on one hand. That power in the waker to veil the waker and project the waker as a dreamer, that is the power of dreaming. So the waker forgets himself as the waker, and then the waker is projected as the dreamer, and the dreamer now creates the whole dream world and becomes all the dream characters, and then the samsara is going on. So that is how the avidya works. It will veil on one hand, project on one other hand. So these two gunas, they will pull us down, they bind us. Tamo guna and rajo guna, they bind. And that's why for a seeker, sattva guna is maximum one should be in. Because sattva guna is a guna for vivek, to discriminate. There are two things which have got mixed up here. Atma and Anatma have got mixed up. Jada and Chetana have got mixed up. I have to separate. So the third guna is the guna of right apprehension. Non-apprehension, misapprehension, right apprehension. To see a thing as it is, sattva guna is required. Like that torch example when we said, you put the torch light on and then you see the rope, then you realize, there was no snake at all. So that buddhi has to wake up. So trigunatmakam, the avidya is of the nature of three gunas. So as an individual, the play of the three gunas is such that the Sachidananda Swarup Atma is veiled, and then the body is projected, the Jiva Bhav is projected. This is tamas and rajas. Now, if the Jiva cultivates more and more and more of Sattva Guna, the mind becomes quiet. In that quiet mind, one can contemplate on the self, go beyond the Sattva Guna also. So from tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva, from sattva to beyond. That's how we have to progress. So in a seeker's life, practically speaking, tamas and rajas should be eliminated. That's why in the Gita, Bhagavan tells Arjun again he tells him, Nitya Sattvastha Bhava. Arjun, be established in Sattva Guna at all times. Don't react. Don't be lazy, ignorant, dull. Come into the state of Vivek. So Trigunatmakam. Now, then what else was written there? In that definition you see, Ajnana to Sarasadhyam Anirvachaniyam Trigunatmakam Jnana Virodhi Bhava Rupam. It is of the nature of existence, meaning it exists, Bhava Rupam. Because this is the debate I was telling you about. Avidya is Bhava Rupam or Abhava Rupam. Long arguments are there for it. One may say, how does it matter to us? It matters because if it does not exist at all, then why am I suffering? If it exists temporarily, if it is a mithya, see the solution for a mithya will be different, the solution for a asat vastu will be different or not. If somebody says there is a child of a barren woman, and one is playing with that barren woman's child and then wanting to buy clothes for that barren woman's child and then the, what we call, toys and all that. What will be the solution for that person? Barren woman's child does not exist only. We have to make that person realize that this does not exist. But when it is a mithya, that person is going through that effect. The impact is there. Then that person has to be made aware of what is the Sat. See, for a person who is seeing Mithya, the solution is to point out this is the Sat. But the person who is seeing Asat is imagining, but that thing doesn't exist. For that person, Asat has to be shown. So the solution is different. Am I communicating or is it going bouncer? Because this bhava roop, abhava roop, long discussion goes on. It appears very scholarly, but actually it is not scholarly. If you go into the proper understanding of this, one will understand that very clearly, that the diagnosis of the root cause, that's why it is important. If the root cause does not exist at all, what will be the solution? Placebo type of an effect we have to do. No, there is no disease at all. What can be told to that person? You give that person some medication and tell that now you will be all right. But later on that person comes to know and is little bit open, then you say there was no disease you had, I gave you plain water, that's all. So now next time that person will not suffer like that, because you tell that person you did not suffer at all, there was nothing, there was zero, no cause for only your imagination. So when the root cause is not existent, the treatment of that is very different. But you may say, how is that possible? That's the strange thing, is that only what does not exist also this mind is capable of projecting. In the case of Mithya, what is existent is being projected as something else. So for that, what is the solution? Show what is actually existing. So avidya is Mithya. By telling the person about Atma, that Mithya will go away. The snake is a Mithya. And ignorance of the rope is causing the snake. How to get out of the effect of the snake? Knowledge of the rope has to be given. Show the rope. Then that will go away. When that goes away, then that person will realize that ignorance was not there at all. When the rope was seen, once the rope is seen, that person will not see the snake. Then the person realizes, here, this never existed at all. Simply I was getting so scared about it. So now abhava rupam or bhava rupam. So avidya is bhava rupam. It exists. In what form? Not as sat, but it exists as a mithya. So it is bhava rupam. Yat kinchiditi vadanti aham agnya. Yat kinchiditi. Whatever that is, aham agnya. Whoever says that, I am ignorant. That is the expression of this. Iti ityadi anubhavat. Aham agnya iti adi anubhavat. Each one experiences. Now, why it is said it is bhava rupa? Because I'm experiencing. I am ignorant. I don't know the self. So I'm thinking of myself as a jiva. Now, all this came from where? Deva Shaktim. This is the power of Bhagavan only. Why this is power of Bhagavan? Like remember the waker example. The waker's power is the power to dream, and that power to dream is hiding or covering whom? The waker only. Whose power? Waker's power is covering the waker, projecting the waker as the dreamer. So Deva Shakti. Where did avidya came from? In the power of Atma only. As Ishvara, as pure consciousness, the power of Maya. So Maya is the power of Ishvara. In the self, it is the power of avidya. At the individual level, it is called avidya. At the total level, it is called Maya. So it is Deva Shakti. Swagunair nigudham ityadi shruteshcha. This whole thing is one line. Deva Shaktim Swagunair nigudham. That is the scriptural declaration. This power belongs to God and is hidden in its own qualities. These three gunas, they cover God himself. That's what it means. So now, it is Jnana Virodhi, it is Bhava Rupam. And this avidya is also called by different names. So Ajnana. What are the various names of this avidya? So one is Ajnana. Ajnana means ignorance. Ignorance of what? Two types of avidya, if you remember. I don't know whether I did here or not. Mool avidya and Tul avidya. We did? This is the Mool avidya. Ignorance of the self. Ajnana. That is Ajnana. Avidya is the next one. Na vidyate iti avidya. That which does not exist. Meaning, which is not truly there, but it's just a mithya, just an appearance. Does not have a valid existence. That's why it is avidya. Absence of knowledge. What is darkness, if you ask? Absence of light. Same way here. Absence of knowledge is ignorance. Hence the solution is knowledge. Then Shakti. It is the power. Whose power? It is the power of the Atma only. What we just discussed earlier. So these are various different words. When we say it is the power of the self, this Avarana Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti it is. Example given for that is the sun and the clouds. See, one example we spoke is the waker and the dreamer. The dreamer, the power to dream is there in the waker only, waker's power. Another example given here is the sun. The clouds cover the sun. But how did the clouds get formed? By the power of the sun only. The water got evaporated, then condensation happened, whatever, then the clouds formed. And these clouds which are created by the power of the sun are appearing to cover the sun. But is the sun really covered? For whom is it covered? For the person standing on the ground, between the sun and the vision, the cloud comes. Otherwise, sun is not covered at all. Same way it is. That analogy is a very nice analogy. Again, Shankaracharya has given that in the Atma Bodh also. Megha paye amshumaniva. That's the line there. When the clouds move away, the sun reveals. In fact, the analogy is nice because when we see the cloud also, in whose light we are seeing the cloud? Sunlight only. So Ramana Maharshi said a very nice thing. You say, I don't know. Who knows I don't know? In the light of consciousness only, you are saying I am ignorant. So where are you ignorant? The subtlest obstacle to realization is the notion that I am ignorant. Who is ignorant? For the sun, can there ever be darkness? Wherever the sun goes, darkness will not be there at all. For the self, how can there be ignorance? No ignorance. But the issue only is I am standing on the ground and I am seeing the sun, so the cloud is covering. In the same way, I am identified with the BMI, so I am saying I am ignorant. If I really inquire into that, who is this I? The real I can never be ignorant. And that's why that inquiry is the only method for gaining knowledge. Contemplation and inquiry, no other method. When it said Jnana Virodhi, it means that also. For a cause which is illusory, which is a mithya, there is no other solution except inquiry. For a cause which is real, I can do something else. But again, if it is real, it will not go. So see how the treatment becomes different. For a mithya, inquiry has to be done, and that inquiry is into the truth. For asat, we have to tell this is asat, it does not exist. Was, is, never will be. In all three periods of time, it never existed at all. But the dream exists. At that point, it appears very real. So then we say, inquire into the substratum. So this is what it is. When you say it's the power of Bhagavan only, it's the power of the self only. Avidya is the power of the self. Then the another word is Maya. So Maya is used many times in the sense of magic, illusion or magic. See, magic is that which makes the impossible possible. Suddenly from the hat, rabbit will come out, flower vase will come out. From where it is coming? And nowadays, so they do many other things in magic. On the road and all, sometimes the people do. You see na Facebook and all that, the videos are there. They'll take a coin. They'll have nothing in the hand actually. And then from behind your ear, they'll take out one coin. And then they will take one, they will show you one note, proper note, full note like that. And then they will do just like this, and that whole note is gone, and they will take it out from your pocket. Magic. It seems impossible. Coin will become double right in front of you. Earlier, people used to think, कि वो यहाँ पे होगा, कहीं पे होगा, something. How they do, I still don't know. Right in front of you, it will be there. They'll see one coin. And his hand will be empty only. Put double हो गया. Aghatita ghatana. Impossible becomes possible. That is Maya. This Maya, there's one Maya Panchakam, Shankaracharya ji wrote. In that this line comes, Aghatita ghatina patiyasi Maya. Maya is an expert in making the impossible possible. Infinite becomes finite. Jada becomes Chetan. What is this Maya is going on? That which is Chaitanya appears as bound. That which is Jada appears as Chaitanya. All that. So that is one meaning of Maya, that this is the power of the Lord which makes the impossible also possible. And the second meaning is what is not but which appears to be Yama Samaya. So you have to only do the Maya, you reverse it, Yama. Then you will get the meaning. What does not exist but only appears to be, that is called as Maya. Now this Maya, there are two other powers, two other names to this, Pradhan and Prakriti. See, we saw the play of three gunas in the individual. What is the play of three gunas in the individual? Tamo guna veils, Rajo guna projects, and Sattva guna liberates. In the totality, when the three gunas, these three Pradhana and Prakriti, these are two technical words. When the three gunas are in the Samya Avastha, there is no creation. There is only Maya residing in Brahman. No creation. Three gunas are in Samya Avastha. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, all in same proportion. But when that three gunas, the equilibrium gets disturbed, you will say how it will get disturbed. By the sankalpa of Brahman. Then that Rajoguna, Tamoguna, when they increase, for creation to happen, Rajoguna, Tamoguna is required. When that Samya Avastha is gone, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas in same proportion, when that is not there, now Sankalpa came, let me become many. That Sankalpa will increase Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Then the creation starts. So the creation then starts, and that is called as Pradhan. Maya only is called Pradhan. When it becomes the cause of the creation. When Maya is in the Samya Avastha, Maya and Prakriti are equal. Maya, when it gets disturbed, the three gunas get disturbed, then that Maya is called Pradhan. And that Pradhan becomes the cause of the universe. So the five elements then will come out, and then the whole process that we saw of all the subtle creation, mind, intellect, memory, ego, sense organs, senses of action, senses of knowledge, prana, all that will come out. Then the Panchikarana will happen, then the gross world will come out. So these are different names of this power. So same ignorance is called Ajnana, absence of knowledge. Avidya, again same. Ajnana and avidya is same, absence of knowledge. Then it is called Shakti. Whose Shakti it is? Shakti of the self only. Then it is called Maya because it is appearance. And then it is called Prakriti when this is in the Samyavastha. And it is called Pradhan when it is in the state of creation. So these are all different aspects of same ignorance and how this ignorance works. So that we saw some time back, veiling power and projecting power. So come to page number 10. The same veiling power and projecting power is explained by Swami Vidyaranya by these three shlokas. Shakti dvayam hi mayayaha vikshepavriti rupakam vikshepa shaktir lingadi brahmandantam jagat srijet. Shakti dvayam hi maya. This is from a book called Drisha Vivek. Some people say it is written by Shankaracharya ji, some people say it is written by Swami Vidyaranya. In that he gives this. Shakti dvayam hi maya. There are two powers of Maya. Vikshepa and Avarana. So Vikshepa and Avariti Rupakam. In that, what will Vikshepa Shakti do? Vikshepa Shakti Lingadi Brahmandantam Jagat Sati. From the subtle body to the gross world. Please remember, Brahmandantam means this entire cosmos, which is a gross world. With all the objects, all the bodies, trees, mountain, river, hill, everything. And the subtle creation is Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar, 5 senses of knowledge, 5 senses of action, 5 pranas. They're all subtle creation. So who creates this? This projection is happening by this Vikshepa Shakti. Just as in the individual it happens, in the total also it happens. Don't get confused suddenly from where this word Maya came. Ignorance, avidya, functioning in the individual is avidya. Functioning in the total is Maya. It's the one and the same thing. So how in the individual the ignorance is projecting this jiva bhav, in the same way in the world also, all the jivas, all their subtle bodies, all their gross bodies and the objects etc. are projected by total power, that is Maya. So Mayayaha Vikshepavriti Rupakam. Then next one. Srishtir Nama Brahma Rupe Satchidananda Vastuni Abdhau Penadivat Sarva Nama Rupa Prasarana. Now he says Srishtir Nama Brahma Rupe Satchidananda Vastuni. In that which is Satchidanand, which is Brahman, what is actually creation? It's an appearance of names and forms. It's just an appearance. How? Abdhau Fenavat, Fenadivat. In the water of the oceans, we have foam, bubble, ladder, wave. All that is actually what? Only water. No, Swamiji, it is water plus air. That's the limitation of example. Don't say now bubble is having little air inside it. So it is not water. No. The example is to say that water only is being called by us as this foam also, and then the big wave also, and the small wave also, and all those things. What are they? Nama Rupa Prasarana. If you remove water, does the bubble exist? No. Will the wave exist? No. So what is a wave and bubble? It is only water. But the word wave and bubble is just a naam. And the form of that water we are calling as wave. Name and form is only a modification of speech. It doesn't exist. What exists is only the reality, the thing. Same way, this whole universe is actually Brahman. Now, I am not seeing this as Brahman. I am seeing this as Nama and Rupa. I have considered name and Rup, Nam and Rup as real, and I have forgotten Brahman. That is the ignorance. So, what is the nature of ignorance? Is this. Cause of ignorance is this, that I don't know this whole thing as Brahman. I don't know this. The nature of this also is Brahman. Now that ignorance is causing me to project this whole thing as name and Rupa. So, Nama Rupa Prasarana. So I am actually seeing gold and I am calling it as a bangle. See, if I call it as a bangle with the understanding this is gold bangle, which generally we do. The example will have a limitation there. That the bangle, when we say, we know how precious it is. We don't forget the gold. But suppose example is that we forgot the gold and we just say this is bangle, where is the gold? Then full time I am seeing the gold. Still I am not perceiving the gold. I am thinking this is bangle, where is gold? That's what we are doing. We are seeing Brahman full time and we are still asking where is God? And we can even deny God, saying God does not exist. Seeing God, I am denying God. How strange that is. Full time I am seeing only God. So this whole universe, including this BMI, is an appearance of that Supreme Brahman. That I don't know. That is the ignorance. So Srishtir Nama Brahma Rupe. Srishti is only actually name and form. Appearance is only name and form. Brahman is the crux. Antardrishyayor bhedam bahishcha brahma sargayoho avrunotyapara shaktihi sa samsarasya karanam. So these first two verses were about Vikshepa, last one is about Avarana, because Vikshepa is the effect of Avarana. So what is being covered? Two things are being covered. Antar drigdrishyayor bhedam. Inside there is a witness in me and there is a BMI which is a separate scene. This distinction is being veiled. That the self is different and BMI is different. Atma is different, BMI is different. So Drashya is the BMI. Drashya means what is seen. So is the watch different from me or not? Is the table different from me or not? Mic is different or not? Why? The difference is between the seer and the seen. Seer is always different from the seen. Same thing applies internally. From the Sakshi standpoint, everything else is seen. Ahankar is seen, Buddhi is seen, Mana is seen, Prana is seen, Deha is seen, Indriya is seen, objects are seen. This whole thing is seen. But this distinction of seer and seen is veiled. So what happens as a result? The seer becomes the seen. Meaning, I forget that I am the Sakshi and I think I am the Jiva. That Vikshepa happens because of this avarana of the seer. The distinction of seer seen doesn't happen. So internally, Sakshi and the BMI get mixed up. Externally, Brahma Sargayoho. All this is Brahman, but I see all this only as names and forms. So this distinction between Brahman and the names and forms, and internally between Atma and the BMI, is covered. Distinction is covered, meaning they are not two in the sense I am not the Jiva, the Sakshi is getting covered, Jiva is getting projected. This is not name and form, Brahman alone, so that Brahman is getting covered, name and form is getting projected. So this is how it is working. This is sa samsarasya karanam. This is the cause of bondage. So how is ignorance functioning? It is functioning in these two methods, by veiling and projecting. What is being veiled is inside is the Sakshi, the self, outside is Brahman. What is being projected is the Jiva inside and the Jagat outside. So now this is the cause of bondage. And this is how, when I don't know myself as the Atma, when I don't see the world as Brahman, then one becomes a Jiva, then one runs behind the world, then one suffers. One goes on moving from cycle of birth and death. So nature of bondage we saw, and the cause of bondage we saw. Ko nama bandhaha kathamesha agataha. The next one will be katham pratisthasya. How does it sustain? See, if something is an illusion, it should last for a short time, but it is long, going on and on, life after life. Like a dream. Dream is an illusion when we say the dream lasts for a short time and then we wake up. But this is going on life after life. So what is that which is sustaining this bondage? Because before we go into the root cause to eliminate, we have to stop feeding it first. Even in the world, if you see, Gurudev used to give a very nice example. This Ganga cleaning, clean the Ganga. In Gurudev's time, they had done. Even today, they are doing continuously. Millions of dollars. Taking loan from World Bank and this bank and that bank, and we are cleaning the Ganga. Go on cleaning the Ganga. How will Ganga become clean? We have to first stop polluting. Gurudev used to say, fresh waters are coming from the glacier. They will clean the Ganga in any case. You just stop polluting. That's all we have to do. But the industrial waste and so much is getting put into all our rivers, Ganga or Yamuna or any of these. Same way it is. Bondage we want to remove. What is sustaining it? That has to stop. Then inquiry and knowledge will remove that. So this ends this portion, which is cause of bondage. There are two verses given at the end for reflection. These are from a very nice, one is from Hastamalaka Stotram. Hastamalakacharya, he was one of the four main disciples of Shankaracharya. And his story is very fascinating. From the time he is born, almost up to some young age, maybe 14, 15, whatever, some age, he never spoke a word, doesn't speak at all. And parents did so much, took him to some Vaid, took him to some Ayurvedic person, some different types of people, Bhutwala, Pishachwala, everybody they took him to, no solution. He does not speak. The doctor also tested vocal cords, everything is all proper, there is no problem. But he does not speak. So one day when Shankaracharya has come to that village, they take him there. And Shankaracharya, looking at him, realizes that this person is a different person altogether. He looks young, but he is a very, very ripe soul. So he just asked a question to him. Kastvam shisho kasya kutosi ganta. O child, kastvam, who are you? Kasya, to whom do you belong? Kutosi ganta, where are you headed? Kim nama petvam, what is your name? Kuta agatosi, from where did you come? First time that child spoke, and see what he spoke. He said, Naham manushyo na chadeva yakshaha, na brahmachari, na grihi, na vanastaha. I am not a deva. I am not a human being. Naham manushyo na chadeva, not a yaksha, not a divine being. I am not a brahmachari or a grahastha or a vanaprasthi or even a sannyasi. Na brahmachari na grihina vanastah. Bhikshur na chaham nija bodha rupa. I am not a bhikshu means sannyas. Then who are you? Naham manusho na chadeva yaksho. Na brahmachari. Na brahmanusho na chadeva yaksho. Na brahmachari na grihina vanastah. Sa nityopalabdhi swarupoham atma. I am that pure consciousness which is all the time illumining, which is beyond all these distinctions of caste, creed, community, gender, body, all these distinctions. First time, 14 verses he spoke, one by one by one. And Shankaracharya told the mother, this person is a Jivan Mukta. There is a lot of work to be done. You have to give him to me. And the parent also finally agreed, because such a great master like Shankaracharya is asking to give your child, and he is not meant for living in a household life and worldly living, because already he was behaving like a mad person. Suddenly he will go and he will be rolling in the sand, and he will sitting quietly in bliss sometimes, something he would do, because he is not identified at this level. So in that Hastamalaka Stotram, why is it called Hastamalaka? As clearly as an amla fruit is kept in the hand, so clearly his experience of self is Sa Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupoham Atma. He says, my nature is pure consciousness, I am that, none of this I am. In that, this one nice example he gives. Ghanachanna drishtir ghanachanna markam yatha nishprabham manyate chati mudaha तथा बद्धवद भाति यो मूढ़ दृष्टे है सनित्योपलब्धि स्वरूपोहम आत्मा. Same example of the cloud and the sun. Ghanachanna drishtir. The vision of a person is blocked by ghana, is a cloud. Ghanachanna markam, and this cloud covers the sun as though. Yatha nishprabham manyate chati mudha. So the ignorant person will think that this sun is covered. Tatha baddhavad bhati yomura drishte. That self is like the sun. Like the sun can never be covered by the cloud, in the same way the self can never be covered by ignorance or by any projection, neither avarna nor vikshepa. That pure self which is always existent, sanityopalabdhi swarupoham atma. I am that atma. And the next one is from Saddarshanam. Saddarshanam also is a very beautiful composition of Ramana Maharshi. He says, Baddhatva bhave sati moksha chinta bandhastu kasyeti vicharanena siddhe swayam swatmani nitya mukte kva bandha chinta kvacha moksha chinta. Very interesting. So he says, when there is the baddhatva bhave sati moksha chinta, when there is a feeling of bondage, then there is a desire for liberation. Bandhastu kasyeti vicharanena. How will you get liberated? When you ask the question, for whom is this bondage? This I. When we say I am bound, now there is a desire that I must be liberated. What does he say? Array, inquire, who is this I? Who is bound? Like the sun can never be bound, the self can never be bound. It is infinite. Siddhe swayam swatmani nitya mukya. And when you such inquire like that into the source of this I, when one realizes the self, Kva bandha chinta, kvacha moksha chinta. Then what bandhan, what moksha? Because the self is always free. This bandhan and moksha came from where? They are the product of avidya and ignorance. At the mind level, it will be there. As long as mind is there, avidya is also there, buddhi is, moksha also is there, liberation. But the self is never bound, self is never liberated. The cloud appears to cover the sun for the person who is standing on the ground. Cloud has never covered the sun. Cloud moves, sun shines. So the person says, aha, cloud went. Now cloud came. But sun is never affected by cloud coming, going. It's like that. What does this mean? My nature is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupatma. See, the mind is very tricky. Mind will always say, Hoga koi self like that. What do I care? I am bound. I am at this level. Mind will bring us to that again and again. Again and again, one has to lift oneself, saying, no, no, my nature is Atma. So for today, we will stop here. Any questions in what we did so far? So distinction between seer and seen uh, is covered by this Maya, by this avidya, that what is separate, no, what that seer is different, seen is different. That gets covered when the seer becomes the seen. How? The BMI becomes, we feel the BMI functions on its own and we don't know the self. So the seer and seen have got mixed up. Where the fact is the seer is never affected by the seen. BMI is enlivened by the self, never affected by whatever is the condition of the BMI. But that distinction that I am the seer and this is the seen, that gets obliterated, that gets covered. Where I don't see myself anymore uh, as the seer, I completely identify with the seen and I forget that there is a seer. That is the ignorance. So ignorance of the seer makes the seer appear as the seen. But the fact is that seer is distinct and the seer is never affected by the seen. And the seer is infinite and seer is conscious. Seen is always jada. So there are these laws of seer and seen. Drig, Drishya, Vivek. No, it is. So the laws are very simple. We did this in the 13th chapter. Those laws. Same thing in the world outside. The distinction between Brahman, which is changeless substratum, and the name and form. So we don't see Brahman, we see name and form. So then the distinction again gets, obliterated. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.